Hey, Vaughn.
Hey, Kim.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am fine. As I told you I was going to do, I have driven on up here to the Atlanta area for my nephew Dylan's game tonight. And so I'm here and we've got some special guests. So I'm going to go ahead and kick us off here.
Okay.
So, everyone, this is our podcast, But First Football. And I am Kim Beal, the self-proclaimed First Lady of Football Fandom and Fashion. And I am here with my very good friend and our resident local well, he's not local because we're not in the same state.
Right.
We're across country from each other. So anyway, he is our football phenom, Vaughn Parker, 11-year NFL veteran and knower of all things and giving us all of the inside information. So welcome. So today we're going to have two special guest stars that are on the O-line of the Lambert High School football team. And I thought, how fun would it be for these two guys who are having a great season to chat with a former NFL lineman. And I think they have some things to ask you to talk about, and you probably have some things to share. So I'm going to switch it on over to them, and I'll slide out, and I'll be back in time for the frenzy, because I just have to say that.
Right.
And, I have a few Bucks things to discuss, so I will move out of the way and bring in Dylan and David. So let me slide on out. Okay, slide in. And
What's up, guys?
What's going on?
Not much. Dylan, good to see you again. David, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
So, what time's your game tonight?
It is at 7:30 tonight. It's a road game, but it's in the Forsyth County, so it's only about, I would say, 20 minutes. So it's not too bad of a drive, and it's a pretty nice stadium. So I'm pretty excited.
Now, will you guys all meet up at the school and then head over on a bus?
Yeah, we usually leave about 2 hours before the game starts. So
Okay.
We have about an hour and 30 minutes when we get there to just stretch, get taped up, and then have our warm up.
Has your team done any, since you guys have been there, done any of these games where you've gotten on a plane and played a team from another state?
No, not yet.
Yeah, no, that would be I mean, that's the thing about Georgia is there's so many good talent like schools.
Yeah.
You don't need to play that national schedule like other teams do from other states. Like our first two games this year were against two top 100 ranked teams in the country. So it's like we don't need to go far for elite talent,
Yeah.
So, but no, we've not done any of the national games. A lot of schools by us do. So it's just pretty common around here, but we have not done one of those yet.
Yeah, I just asked because I remember when I was going through high school, my school, I went to a small little Catholic school up in Buffalo, New York, and we didn't get on a plane, but we played a team in Michigan. We had a home and home my junior and senior year with a team from Canada, actually. So that was interesting. When we went up there, we played by their rules. When they came down, they played by our rules.
That's cool.
But now it seems like everyone, like you said, like you can, you can walk out and blindfold yourself and walk into a great program in Georgia. But a lot of schools still do these national scheduled games. And, it's just interesting. So, I was just wondering, my own curiosity.
Yeah, there's some of those schools like IMG Academy down in Florida.
Yeah, right.
They play those huge nationwide schedules, and they play teams from like you said. I think they played a Canadian team as well. Like they play teams from all over.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting to see how much that's grown. That teams are willing to fly out cross country for high school football. That tells you how much money and how popular football is.
Yeah, and how invested they are in the game.
Yeah, it's all big business. Okay, so let me ask you this: you guys have anything special you guys do on game day? Individually, personally, any rituals, anything like that?
So I like to watch Rocky IV. I don't watch the whole movie. I watched the same couple parts. So I watched the Apollo Creed fight. I watched the training part. I watched when he's driving, the no easy way out montage, and I watched the fight. So I watch about 30 minutes of it, but it's the same couple parts. And then I'll watch I watch a little bit of Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
I'll watch some Ray Lewis motivational speeches. So
Okay.
I kind of go all around the map with stuff that just fires me up, gets me going. But that's as far as I go. I also like writing down different messages on my wrist tape as well. Things that fire me up, things keep me going in the game to look at and say like you're playing for this, you're playing for that. Like our community, one of my friends passed away at a different school, so I'm a wrist tape. I'm writing down along with 74 for him.
Okay.
So stuff like that, stuff on my wrist that keeps me going and playing hard.
What about you, David?
Me personally, I'm not like a ritualistic type of guy. Me and my friend, before every game, we do our stretches together. And one of the things that I do like that we do as an online group is before every game, we all get together and we all pray. Just praying for the safety of ourselves and the other team, making sure that no one gets injured, and just having a game with God.
Yeah, that makes sense. There are quite a few guys who would, get groups of their teammates together and, say a prayer. And then typically, I can't think of any of my head coaches who didn't send us out pregame without saying a quick little prayer.
Yeah.
And it's not, and it's more than just, hey, who's this religion, that religion. It's just, you come together and like you said, just silently, I would always just say, hey, keep everyone safe, our team, their team.
100%, yeah.
But, let's all just go out here and have a great game. So, okay. What about food on game day? Do they feed you? Does the school feed you at all, or are you guys on your own for
we have sponsors
fueling your body?
Food.
Yeah, we got different places that cater. Some places are better than others. There's some places like where you're hoping every time you show up you get there, but sometimes it's not there. Sometimes it's another crappy place. But in general, we get pretty good food. I mean, they also give us like bananas and stuff like before the game. Then also too at halftime they give us snacks, and they give us, I don't really eat snacks, but they give us like Rice Krispie treats, and I think they give us some sort of peanut butter pretzel thing. Mainly the JV guys seem to be hoarding that stuff because they just play a whole lot, so they just want to eat, and drink and stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you. I never ate during, once I ate breakfast, I was done until after the game. I don't know, just my thing. I never wanted to feel too heavy going into the game. Okay. So how's your season been going? It's been a few weeks since I talked to you.
Yeah.
What's been happening?
So we're at 4-3 right now. We played those two top 100 teams nationally the first two games. We lost both of those. Then week 3, we came back from two 20-point deficits, came back and won 49-41. Week 4, we beat our rival, I would say our main rival school, 13-0. And then we won week 5, 48-43, and that was when they came back from being down 42-7 after the first quarter. I was still pulled it off and won. And then we lost North Atlanta High School. That was week 6, so we put back to 3-3, but we got on the horse again and won our last game 37-0. And it would have been more, but they requested for a running clock.
Yeah, as soon as halftime ended.
Yeah, so they were like, we want to get out of here. And so they asked for a running clock. And that game ended, it was literally like the second half was like a blur.
Yeah, fastest football game, high school football game I've been.
Yeah.
We finished around 9.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was a short game. But then we're 4-3, we're 3-1 in region play. And that region play is what really matters. So as of right now, we're kind of staring at being maybe the second seed. We can somehow end up in a 3-way tie for first. And then hopefully, I'm not sure what the differential is, but hopefully, if we get a 3-way tie, we can get ourselves as the 1 seed going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
But more than likely, we're going to be able to host the playoff game, which is a big deal. We didn't do that last year, and we lost our first round game. We lost 20-17, so we were close. So if you wonder if we were at home, if we would have won, or a lot of things, going on the road is tough in the playoffs. So.
Okay. So thinking about my transition from high school to college to pros, I was always kind of surprised at some of the things that didn't matter once you kind of got to the next level, like things you did in high school that you would never even think to do in the pros or in college. Like things just didn't matter. For instance, like there in high going back to high school, there was a lot of punishments, right? Like you screw something up, go run a lab, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
in college and pros, look, people, we just don't have time for all of that, right? You're expected to be a little bit more professional, obviously, but at the same time, punishments are more financial than, hey, making you go run a lab, do push-ups, something like that. And I get it. Hopefully your coaches care about you more than just what you do for them on the field. Hopefully they're trying to develop you guys as young men. And so I get some of the punishment aspect of things, but the other thing for me personally, I don't know about, I'm sure you guys run it a little bit different, but we wore pads for practice every single practice. Like there was, I can't, like even the day before a game, we were in pads, right? If my memory serves me correctly. Then I get to UCLA and it's like, oh, we're only in pads twice a week, right? And you get to and it's even more so now that you're rarely ever in pads. With the new rules, at least in the NFL, college is still a little bit different. But so I was just wondering if you guys had any questions about maybe some of the things you do, and maybe if you wanted to kind of compare and contrast how college is versus the pros versus what maybe you guys are doing. If you guys had, I don't know, maybe something sticks out in your head that like, oh, geez, why do we do this?
Did you guys ever do a drill called bandit drill where you did we did this drill at the end of every practice called bandit drill. So we start at the 5-yard line, run a play, then run 10 yards, run a play, run 10 more yards, run a play. Did you guys ever do something like that?
We pretty much just run like our playbook, but it's at like a high speed tempo.
Yeah, you're just running.
It's just like wide conditioned by just doing like gassers, like 100 yards.
Okay.
You guys just high tempo speed, run the playbook, 100 yards, and you're done.
Well, I would say the only thing we did similar to that would be, we would run plays on air as an offense, and our coach would want us to get some of our conditioning in. So finish the goal line as a team, run the play, finish the goal line as a team, and then come back. The twos are going while you're getting back, and then you switch on and off. And so maybe that's the only similar thing. One of the things that I know is big in high school, a little bit in the colleges, Oklahoma drill. Do you guys ever do Oklahoma drill?
I don't think anymore. I feel like a few years ago we would do it, but now with the way that our team kind of is, we don't have a lot of depth. So last year we used to be padded practice every day, but this year it's more like shells where we'll just wear our shoulder pads, we'll wear like cutoff shorts and then our helmets. And then most of the time we'll just be thudding or just wrapping up. Like no taking to the ground.
Okay, for the audience who might not know, Oklahoma drill is basically a drill where you get offensive and defensive linemen, and you basically put them nose to nose, and it's just a big old wrestling match. And the idea is to come off the ball, but it's very unrealistic.
So we actually we did board drills, which is basically the same concept.
Yeah.
We did in the spring football. He didn't participate in spring, so he had a little injury. But during spring football, every day we started practice with board drills, and it because the reason behind that was we had too many guys in the program, so we didn't have enough jerseys to we dressed everybody basically who's a sophomore and above.
Yeah,
and so we had 110 guys, but we only have 100 jerseys, so we're we have to kind of weed out if you guys don't want to be a part of it. So you guys start every day with 10-minute sessions of board drills, and you would have varsity going against JV. I mean, it was some guys where these dudes have no business.
Out there.
Yeah. So, and sure enough, I think about 10 freshmen did end up quitting. So, some of the guys or rising sophomores ended up quitting. So
that's too bad.
Well, in the off season with the workouts that we did, it was kind of drilled towards increasing mental stability, because that was a problem that we had last year. Some of the seniors kind of they just quit because one of the teams that we faced last year, we would end up, if we won the first round of the playoffs, we would have ended up playing them, and they're just like, oh, it's not worth it. It's not worth getting blown out in the second round of the playoffs. They just quit on us. They just wanted to lose the first round of the playoffs, and we ended up doing that. So, and the coaches found out about that, so they kind of took that to heart. And some of the off-season training that was drilled towards mental stability, making sure we didn't quit, and the people that did end up quitting just quit the team, and that helped us.
I think that's something that's kind of developed. That's like the camaraderie of the team, right? Football is, look, it's not like basketball. Like basketball, I imagine. I mean, I used to play basketball in high school, and I'm not saying the practices were super fun, but they were more fun than practicing football, right?
Yeah. And
Football
baseball,
is not fun to practice, especially as a lineman.
Yeah.
Games are fun. Games are
Oh, yeah.
great, but and so it's something you do because it's getting you better. But the thing for me was always looking over. I'm not going to let the guy next to me down. I'm going to do my job because I don't want to let him down. So it's one of those things you got to make it bigger than yourself. And I'm not making it putting it on the same level, but I have a buddy who I was in school with who was a Navy SEAL, and I just was always fascinated by how he got through selection because you hear about how hard it is, and that was his thing that he said, you really got to make it more than just about yourself, and whether that's, hey, I'm doing it for my dad or I'm doing it, and so that was always my thing. I always never wanted to let the guy next to me down, and as an offensive lineman especially, I never wanted to be on film because I hated being embarrassed, right? So I never wanted to be on film getting the quarterback lit up, getting the running back lit up because my guy's running loose and hits him right in the mouth. And so that was always the thing about me that, just how I made it more than just about myself and how I'm doing. I'm just trying to, do my best so I can support my teammate next to me. So.
I think our team's really good with that. Like, I hadn't really ever thought of it, but like I was thinking the other day, I'm like, there's really nobody on the team who like I feel like almost everybody on the team probably could name every single guy on the team's name. But that's a big deal because like it happens in college. Like a lot of times, guys have no idea like who their teammates are.
Just refer to them as their number.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, number 61. But like, for us, I think almost literally every single person on the team can name everybody. I know I can, and I think it's pretty contagious. Like across the board, I think everybody knows each other. Everybody respects each other and supports each other. I think that's kind of something that's been special about this year's team. I think that the seniors, like David's a senior, his group's done a great job of being just like good role models for the younger guys. I think that's a big deal. Like they're just good people, and they're not trying to be jerks or whatnot. They're trying to be good people. And I think one of the things that we have as an O-line too, individually as a position group, is that our camaraderie as an O-line is extremely high. Like, I mean, I would say, like when you say brothers, like a lot of people say, like oh, these guys are my brothers, but like I think as a whole, all of us really mean that, especially the first 6 guys. Like we're all older, 4 seniors, 2 juniors. We've all played together for 2 years, basically now, basically the same group last 2 years. Yeah. And so we try to make practice fun every day. At least I know I try to make practice fun. And we just have a good time at practice because we know that, like, we're going to look back on this 20 years and look back on these days and say these were the good old days because we were with our best buddies, And so I think really as an O-line, we're extremely well bonded. I think it's a big deal.
Well, one of the things that and I don't know why it just came to me, but I wrote a paper once back in the day, and it was just it was talking about Aboriginal tribes and totems, right? And they would have these ceremonies kind of celebrating the totems of the individual tribes. But the individuals were able to do things they weren't able to do normally because they had the support of the tribe, right? Yep. And so, like, when you're together, you can accomplish more than maybe the individual talent of each guy. But when you come together, you just get that synergy and something amazing happens, right? And so, and football is always, like I said, it's not fun to practice. Games are fun, but it's cool in that because you test yourself, you test your mental. Like you said, you test your intestinal fortitude, you test your ability to concentrate, learn volumes of material, execute it on the field, because that was always one of my things. Like I know something in the classroom, and then we go out to the field, and then when all the bullets are flying, everyone's moving around, I got to know it now. I got to execute it now. It's great when I'm comfortable in my chair, with my Gatorade, the coach is telling me, oh, what do I do? Oh, I know what to do. But especially when I was, that was more so like my rookie year. And you get out there and you're kind of a little bit nervous, and it's like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? And luckily, I had a center. What position do you play, David?
I'm an offensive guard, kind of undersized, but still.
Luckily, I had a center who was very smart. He went to Rice. He went to Rice at 16, actually. Courtney Hall, and and I could hear the disdain in his voice when he said, "Vaughn, block that guy right
Well, naturally, yeah.
And then, but you know what? That made me grow up quick, right? Like I had to learn about being a professional and knowing my job and not, like I said, not letting the other guys down. But okay, well, I mean, do you guys have any questions for me?
Yeah, I got one. What was your favorite like blocking drill to do during practice? Like, if you had to pick one drill that you liked doing the best, which one was your favorite?
Okay, this is when I was older and Hudson Houck. So you go back and look at those Dallas Super Bowl teams.
Yeah.
Hudson was the offensive line coach of that team. You know, he's famous, very famous. Despite being an SC guy, I love him to death. But when I had him my last 2 years with the Chargers, and he got here, and that's one of the things you always got to fight against complacency, right? And it's, I've been a starter for several years. I know what I'm doing, but this new guy is trying to teach me something. And finally, I just say, you know what? This is my coach. He's trying to teach me something. And plus, he's had a lot of success. And the guys he's taught have had a lot of success.
Yeah.
So I need to be open to the coaching, right? And so his thing was, for him, there was no, you get to practice a little bit early. You're kind of waiting for the horn to start practice. He's like, he'd come out. What are you guys sitting around, standing around chopping it up about? Like, you could be getting some work done. I'm saying you don't have to strain yourself to get work done. That's one of the major things I learned from him. You don't always have to physically exhaust yourself to be getting work done. And so he just would teach us. He taught us these little drills in terms of working as we're just sitting there talking about, whatever we did last night. Little hand drills, right? Where you work on, because that's one of the things defensive linemen like to do, right? They like to chop our hands, grab our hands. And I always dug that little drill just because it was something that I knew was making me better, but literally I wasn't physically exhausting myself. It was right before practice, right as I got to the field, as 5-10 minutes early, just getting that little bit of extra work and knowing it was getting me better, but at the same time, it wasn't exhausting me for practice, right? So I just thought it was always a neat little cool thing. And then as I got to know him better, and it just made sense about who he was and how and why the guys he taught and were so good. And so, like, I don't know if you guys are way too young, but you go back, do yourself a favor, Google some of those Dallas offensive lines from the early 90s. Eric Williams.
Yeah.
Nate Newton,
Kevin
Gogan, they were
I
nasty.
know all those guys. I watched the Football Life on.
Okay.
So I'm pretty well versed, and I hate the Cowboys, unlike David, but it's you gotta respect. You gotta respect. And then an SC. Who did he coach at SC?
I'm sorry.
Who did he coach at USC? Did he coach at USC?
Well, he played at USC. If I remember correct, I want to say.
Was he with Munoz? Did you play with Munoz?
Yeah, I think I want to say he coached Munoz and Munchak.
Yeah.
I want to say he was there during that 78 national championship team for SC.
Probably.
Because he was with John Robinson. I'm almost positive John Robinson was the coach of that team.
Yeah.
So he played at SC, and I want to say he was All-American there as a center. Yeah. And then he coached there for many years, and then obviously made it to the NFL. And he coached the Rams. So he coached one of my favorites, who your aunt knows, Jackie Slater, at the Rams. And then he went on to Dallas. And, like I said, that's just Larry Allen. You just named, he's got Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer that he's coached. And so he just was always one of the, he actually wrote my recommendation letter to get into USC Business School. So, he's just always, and it was funny because previous to him, I had, my coach was Joe Bugle, again, famous offensive line coach, coach of the Hogs, Washington Redskins back when they were rolling. So some of the things that Hudson taught were a little bit opposite of how Buggs taught him. And so I was kind of resistant. I had Buggs for 3 or 4 years, and so I was a little bit resistant at first. And then it was like, you know what? Bukes isn't your coach anymore. This is your coach. He's trying to get you better. And most offensive line coach, you know, we're the smartest room in the building. We're also, which also makes us the funniest. I always like to say, which is true, right?
Oh yeah.
But I was like, look, he's only trying to make you better. And I thought about it. I was like, and who am I to tell him, you know, to resist what he's teaching me? And I ended up loving what he taught me, like the kind of thing where, geez, I wish I knew some of this sooner.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
But
or you were a vet,
yeah. What about you, Dave? You got anything you want to know about college or the NFL level?
No, not off the top of my head, but what you said earlier kind of reminded me of one of the coaches that we had a few years ago. He used to coach with the Falcons back when they went to the Super Bowl. He was one of the assistant coaches, Bob Cronenberg. He was more of a coach that was like, he liked to teach us. He didn't really like to drill us that much. And when he did drill us, it wasn't physically demanding. Yeah. It would be more like technique based, like shooting our hands, working on our footwork. Yeah. And then our new coach, it's more like physical demanding, like driving, trying to stay low with shoots. And then
shoots and sled is that's like all we do. Shoot. That's where we live at. So.
Which has its place, but it's not all there is to it, right?
Yeah. It'd be nice if we had more individual times. You only get like 15, 20 minutes a day right now in every region, so I don't have that much time. But it'd be nice if we had some more time to do some more stuff. But, you know, all in all, still, we get more physical that way. So,
yeah.
The cool thing about Buggs was he always, about Hudson was he always had cut-ups from practices, from games, from his whole coaching career. When he wanted to teach us a concept, he'd pull out that tape, and there it was, the cut up of, you know, just sometimes it was just guys working on a drill, hitting a bag, and because, you know, like the transition of passing off a twist, right? And, hey, here's how you do it. This is how you do it. One of the concepts that was kind of he taught that probably would help you, because I reluctantly give advice to O-linemen, because I'm not your coach and I don't want you doing something. But this, you can take whatever your coach is teaching you, you can take this with you, though. Is he taught, because I've never had it explained to me this way, pass blocking, right? You want to stop the lineman's feet and then get separation. So the idea being, if I can punch him, make him stop his feet and have to reset and restart his charge, then ideally the ball should be out. But even if I get beat late, by the time he gets there, the ball should be out. Because my thing was always, you know, I love getting my hands inside, getting like taking his jersey like it's handlebars. But then what does that do, right? He can grab the back of my pads, he can grab my jersey. But if I get separated, so the you know, stopping the feet, fine. Everyone teaches to have a great punch. But getting the separation was the thing where I was, you know, at first it was like, get separation. Well, why? Once I got him locked up, why would I want to get? And then again, like once I said, this is my coach now, do what he wants you to do, start having success. And again, any football player, you have success with something, that's when you're going to really buy into it, right?
Yeah.
So if you can, get a great punch, get that separation, and no matter who's teaching you or coaching you, that can always help you.
Yeah, our center, he's great at that.
Good punch, good job of getting separation, then just anchoring his hips, staying low. Yeah. Really good at stopping bull rush.
Yeah.
I'll watch for it tonight, Vaughn.
Okay. All right. Well, great talking to you guys. Good luck tonight.
Great talking to you. Yes, sir.
That was super interesting. I love that. So it'll be fun for me now to watch the game after listening to you guys, and I'll look for some of those things that y'all were talking about. But how cute are they?
Oh, right.
Vaughn, you have to share with us like a high school football photo.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You are remiss in the photos, so you owe us a high school football photo.
I got to get on it.
So thanks for that. So let's move into football frenzy. And we will start with our favorites. And of course, you all know what my favorite was. With the Bucks just pounding of the divisional foe, the Saints. I mean, and I will not lie, the second quarter was a little stressful for me.
Okay.
all of a sudden they fell apart. I was like, what is happening? Is Baker confused? Like, is he all of a sudden colorblind? Like, what is going on? But I was so thrilled with that game. And just two things to highlight. Sean Tucker, number 44, who was our number 3 running back, and due to the injury to Rachaad White, he was in the game. He was the NFC Player of the Week last week.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He was amazing, incredible. Between him and Bucky Irving, they really just were on it. So, and I was laughing because last week, I was complaining to you, like, we don't have a running game. Why would Liam Cohen run 3 in a row? Well, guess what? I was wrong. We do, in fact, have a running game. So it made the passing game even more potent, and Chris Godwin, on fire. It was great. And then, as I think I mentioned to you, Antoine Winfield Jr. back this week after his injury in game 1. And wouldn't you know it, interception, run back for a touchdown, and boy, did we miss him.
Yeah,
so,
he's a good player.
Oh my gosh. So that was by far and away my favorite thing from last week. It was a great game. It was just what we needed in Tampa to take our minds off of the hurricane.
Yeah.
And we got a big one Monday night. We play the Ravens.
Ravens. I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I know how you're on the Derrick Henry bandwagon, as am I in any other week. But I do believe that he's going to meet a mountain, and that mountain's name is Vita Vea.
Well, what's the eternal question? The irresistible force meets the immovable object.
Yeah.
What happens?
So we'll be talking about that next week. And then my fashion favorite for the week, Evan Ingram from the Jaguars. I think the guys really step it up when they go play in London.
Right.
And there is, living in Florida, you forget that people are actually wearing coats now. And there is something about a long, elegant top coat that just, it's very appealing. So I sent the photo. I know Ashton will put it up. He looked so suave. It was really a fabulous, very sophisticated fashion statement, in my opinion. And then I also shared with you an example. Again, you and I have talked about how should a woman dress for a game and still be a fan and still look good and blah, blah, blah. So I shared a photo of myself with what I think is a good fan fashion outfit. And when you want to dress it up a little bit, you just wear your sparkly buck shirt. So I wore my sparkly buck shirt with a Frank and Eileen French terry sweat skirt and my Converse, because I just love my Converse. So I feel like that is a good example of game appropriate but slightly elevated attire. So those are my favorites for this week. What were yours?
I've really only got one this week, and it's kind of looking forward. And not even so much because I care about either of these teams, but I'm excited just because it's almost like the redemption game, redemption bowl, I guess I'll say. So Detroit Vikings, huge game this week.
Yeah.
But more so like a bigger storyline, to me anyway, Sam Darnold versus Goff. And so 2 quarterbacks, first-round quarterbacks, their original teams both gave up on them. And I think that's the cool thing about, and that's kind of why it's my favorite, because that's the cool part about the NFL, because there's any game, even a game that maybe you're not that interested in, there's so many cool storylines that get us, drawn. And like I said, I wouldn't necessarily care about Detroit versus the Vikes, other than this cool little redemption story on these quarterbacks. Both, the Lions are looking like one of the early Super Bowl favorites, perhaps, and the Vikes, although they're 5-0, I think maybe everyone's kind of waiting for them to come back to the pack. But as of right now, this is a huge game.
It's a huge game.
A lot of implications for the playoffs, depending on who wins.
I think it's going to be a really good game.
Yeah, I do too. Like, Justin Jefferson,
Oh, yeah. The Jet.
Ahmad St. Brown, right?
Yep.
And so, obviously it's unfortunate about the injury with Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
That stinks. But the way I look at it, and I didn't look at the vid tape because I hate seeing those tapes. I don't know. I know it was bad, but I don't know if it was compound. But typically, and I guess there could be changes to it, but typically I always feel a break is better than tearing a tendon because bones heal regardless, right?
Right, yeah.
But when you start tearing tendons, it's like, okay, is it gonna, are you gonna be the same person? So I know Alex Smith famously had that break that was so bad and was almost career threatening. But generally speaking, when you break a bone, it's gonna heal, right? And you're not gonna have too many issues from it. So hopefully he has a speedy recovery.
Yeah,
But, so that's my favorite.
They're gonna miss him. They're gonna miss him.
Well, it's all him in their pass rush. So
I think Detroit can win that game. Honestly, I think that Minnesota is probably due for a loss, but I agree that's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
So frustrations. Yeah. I got one. What in the heck are the Steelers thinking? Sitting Justin Fields and starting Russell, who I love, but why? What is the reason? Why? So I find that incredibly frustrating.
Well, the only thing I haven't seen any Pittsburgh Steelers games. I've barely seen any Pittsburgh Steelers highlights, to be quite honest.
True.
But the only reason you do this is if there's some concerns about Justin Fields' game. And I think, are they 3-3 right now?
They're 4-2.
4-2. Okay, so they're right in the mix for everything.
Yeah.
And so if you're making the switch and you're 4-2, then there's got to be either, and it might not be about Justin Fields. Maybe they see something in how Russell's practicing that they think that gives them a better chance. We'll be better. Hey, we're fine now, but we'll be better if Russell is in there, right? And so that can, especially with the young guy who you're trying to build his confidence, build his capability, you wouldn't want to disrupt that and sit him down because it's a demotion any way you look at it. No matter what they tell him, it's a demotion. So you don't want his ego, his confidence to take a hit unless you think you're getting something better out of the deal. So whatever they're seeing, I'm going to trust Tomlin's judgment. I happen to think Tomlin's one of the best coaches in the league. I don't think he's one of these guys who's coaching to the middle, just trying not to have losing seasons. I think that's nonsense. I know some people think that, but I think the circumstances have been he's had the one time year where he had the 8-8 record, but that's no NFL head coach, especially who's coached as long as him, has their only aspiration is to not have a losing. That's ridiculous. So I think
agree.
Gives him a better chance.
I love him. I think he's a great coach, but I just feel like I don't know. It's a weird thing. So that's my frustration this week. What's yours?
My frustration, I know you're going to appreciate. I guess I got to be not careful, but I don't really care. But did you happen to see? My frustration is how this might be used. On its face, it's fine. Did you see that your buddy Butker, the kicker from the Chiefs, has started a political action committee?
What?
Yeah.
No.
And the goal of this political action committee, he announced it last week. The goal of this political action committee is to encourage people to vote with more having more religious behavior in mind, right? So Christian values, right, in mind. And so while that's a slippery slope, my fear is that stuff like that doesn't necessarily always stay inclusive. It always tends to be exclusive. And so, he could surprise me, but I guess it's a potential frustration, put it that way.
That just trumped mine. I mean, that guy, he wants us to be like the Handmaid's Tale.
Well, and the
That
other thing it made me
freaks me
think about,
out.
you know what it made me think about? I bet you he's got a political run in his future.
Ugh.
I think he's going to parlay because he's one of the better kickers in the league. He's going to parlay the how well the Chiefs have been over these past few years. He's got a pretty decent profile. I bet you he runs. I don't know where he's from, but I bet you he's going to run for office when it's all said and done.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I thought you'd appreciate that one.
You kind of just shook me. Like, I'm a little shook right now. Holy cow.
But you know what? Look, like back in the day when Trump got elected and Dave Chappelle went on Saturday Night Live, he was like, "Look, I'm gonna give him a chance, right? I'm gonna see what he does. So I'll give him a chance and see what he does with it."
You're a better man than I. Oh my God. Like, I'm a little freaked out right now. Jeez. I'm going to have to do a little research on that. Okay. Well, then I will tell you my flop.
Okay.
And it seems like I just keep flip-flopping between two flops. But my flop again is the Cleveland Browns. Why on earth?
Yeah.
What in the world are they doing? And that coach, I mean, he might as well just walk off. Like, he might as well just leave. I mean, he keeps saying, Deshaun is our quarterback. Why? I mean, what is the point of that franchise right now?
I think at this point it might be out of his hands. That might be why. It might be coming down from the owner. Like, look, you need to play this guy so we can at least, because of course they guaranteed his whole contract and they're not getting much value out of that right now. And so I think the idea is maybe he plays himself out of whatever is going on. Clearly is going on. He's not the same guy. And look, the NFL on the high school level, you can't miss a year and a half, just step in and expect to be the same player, right? It's like,
no way.
You're either getting better or you're getting worse. So when you're away from the game for that long, the game changes, the game moves on. And and you can go and you can grab off-season guys and have as many throwing sessions with those guys as you want. It's not the same as being in that NFL facility, having those NFL practices, playing in those NFL games. And so he's not as sharp as he was. The fear, of course, is that not only is he not as sharp, he's not perhaps as talented. And of course he's distracted, all this off the field stuff. He's going, that's on him. But so the combination of those three things, those three possibilities leads you to the results you're getting. And so, it sounds, when he's just that adamant with as bad as he's playing, I think it's not his decision.
Yeah, I guess you're right. What's your flop this week?
My flop is the boys, the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And look, I said earlier that Dak is a good quarterback, and he is. He's probably a top 10, top 15 quarterback. But again, the expectations when you make him the highest paid player in NFL history is that he's going to be able to elevate our team when we have deficiencies. Like when you make a guy, like that's the expectation. Maybe that's the unfair expectation. I know that's not exactly how it works, but that's how it feels it should be. And then they pay CeeDee Lamb. And in a way, those are two dependent receivers, definitely dependent position.
Yeah.
Quarterback, maybe you could argue, because if the O-line is not great, then it doesn't matter how good your quarterback is, right?
Right.
Well, so they pay those two guys. They got to pay Micah Parsons. That's going to be three guys that are going to eat up so much of the cap. They're going to be hamstrung on what they can do around them. And right now the product is not great. And yet they're still the most they drive the needle. Like all the metrics say, when you talk about the Cowboys, everybody looks. And I don't understand why. They're mediocre at best. team. Like, I think they're going to be scrapping to make the playoffs, and maybe they do.
I don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
Well, I'm saying they'll probably make enough plays to keep them in the conversation the whole year. Maybe they don't, but even if they do, they're not going to make a long, deep run. And this is who they've been forever, and yet they're still, and I know it's not a 1-to-1 correlation between popularity and being good, but it feels like it should be, right?
Dak was saying, jump off the wagon, jump off the wagon. I think people should start jumping off the wagon. Terrible. I agree. That's a big flop.
You know why he frustrates me too? And someone else said it, but I was like, because at the mic, he's probably as good as you want any quarterback to ever be. He always has the right thing to say. And at a certain point, and again, I hate I'm fine with the Cowboys losing every game. But at the same time, it's almost like, you know what, Dak, stop saying the right thing at the mic and just play better. And it's not all him. It's probably very little to do with him. It's the team. The team just doesn't have the talent, it feels like, because they got skull drug last week.
They really did. They should have. I was like, ugly. I wanted them to go away from that game, but you know why they didn't? Because Brady was commentating, and it was the most boring game. Like, after a while, you're just like, this is ridiculous. But
I was watching First Take the other day on Monday, and their little montage to start off the show had a couple kids, and if you could just see these kids' face, they got their Dallas jerseys on, and just the looks on their faces.
Oh, I think I saw that.
Oh my goodness, it was priceless. So
well,
that's my flop.
It's a good one. We're just about at time, but I just wanted to quickly share a little philanthropy recap. I had told you last week that I was going to be doing Meals on Wheels, so went out on Meals on Wheels route on Wednesday, the first time since the hurricane, which was really so eye-opening. It was not an easy thing to do. There were still so many road closures and trees down, and the area that I was delivering to is not anywhere near the water. This was all wind damage. And it was shocking. And James was with me, and we had to do a lot of detours and try to find our way through. We did it. We completed the route. A route that would normally take me about an hour-ish took me closer to 3. But, the people, they were just so happy to see us. And the first house we went to, it was this woman's birthday, and I think she was in her 90s. And so I go up to the door, and, there was a nurse there, and she took the meals, and I said, "Isn't it Josephine's birthday? I have a piece of cake for her." And they said, "Yes, it is." And I said, "Is it okay if I sing?" So I go in this house that was dark. Like, the power had just come back on the day before. Right. It's very dark. I couldn't even see this woman. And then I noticed her right in front of me, and she's like in a hospital bed. She's very old. So I sing this happy birthday rendition with great gusto and enthusiasm. And at the end, I finish, and the woman, Josephine, she goes, "And many more." And it was just fantastic. So I said it too. I'm like, "And many more." And then there was one other house I just wanted to share about. It was an apartment building, and the man in that building is in a wheelchair. He's on a lower level. We pull into the apartment building, and a tree had gone through the ceiling of the apartment above this guy. Mm-hmm. So, the family above, of course, they're out, and he can't go anywhere. He is homebound. And I'm like, how are you managing? Because they're up there trying to remove this tree from the roof of this apartment. I mean, it's crazy, Vaughn. I've never seen anything like it. But I was definitely very, very happy to be back out there and see my peeps, and everyone was okay. So that's just a little philanthropy recap of post Milton in Tampa.
Well, good. I know, because I know that had to be, they're in best of times, they need some assistance, they need some help. Yeah. And that hurricane whips through there, and I know they're just that uncertainty. I hate that for them, that they had to feel that uncertainty, and so it's good for you that you got back out there, and that's awesome.
Yeah, it was good. Well, thanks for talking to the boys. I'm going to get some pictures tonight. I'll send them to you. You send us your high school football picture. And everyone, please give us a like, give us a follow, But First Football on all of the various platforms. And I'll be excited to catch up with you next week with hopefully a huge Buccaneers win. But in the meantime, it was good to see you, and I'll be keeping you posted on the game tonight.
Okay, sounds good.
And Ashton's about to get his stitches out of his hand, for anyone who's wondering. Yay! All right, bye everyone. Thank you.